Tonight, we drift into the quiet mysteries of the universe within us. You don't need to follow every word, just let the story carry you, like starlight across a calm sky. The science we'll explore together exists in that peaceful space between consciousness and dreams, where knowledge doesn't demand attention but simply offers itself, like soft rain on still water. So, settle in, breathe slowly, and allow your mind to wander as we explore the gentle wonders of your sleeping brain. Even when you close your eyes, your brain is wide awake, writing, reshaping, and reinventing itself. In the quiet darkness behind your eyelids, billions of neurons continue their delicate dance, forming new connections and strengthening old ones. This constant, silent activity continues whether you're aware of it or not, like stars that shine regardless of whether anyone is watching. The brain never truly rests. It merely shifts its focus, turning inward to perform some of its most important work, while the conscious mind drifts away. Imagine yourself lying in bed, the room around you gradually fading as sleep approaches. Your breathing slows, your muscles relax, and your thoughts begin to lose their sharp edges. But deep within your skull, your brain is preparing for an entirely different kind of activity. What if those dreams that float through your sleeping mind aren't merely random stories, but sophisticated tools that rewire the very architecture of your brain? What if each night, as consciousness dims, your mind is quietly sculpting who you will become tomorrow? The idea feels almost magical, doesn't it? That while we rest, something profound is happening within us. Like a garden that grows most vigorously in the cool evening hours, our minds may be doing their most important work when we're least aware of it. The science of this nighttime transformation has only recently begun to reveal itself, emerging from sleep laboratories and neuroscience research centers around the world. But the story it tells is as ancient as sleep itself, story of renewal, reorganization, and quiet transformation. There's something peaceful about knowing that even in sleep, we continue to grow and change, that the darkness isn't empty, but filled with quiet purpose. And as we explore this gentle mystery together, remember that you don't need to grasp every concept or follow every thread of the narrative. Like sleep itself, this journey invites you to let go, to drift, and perhaps to dream a little along the way. In the landscapes of your mind lives an invisible architect, constantly reshaping the neural pathways that define who you are. This architect has no form and makes no sound, yet its work is evident in every thought you have, every memory you recall, and every skill you develop. Neuroscientists call this process neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. The word itself feels soft on the tongue. Neuroplasticity, the moldable, changeable nature of our most complex organ. Imagine your thoughts as gentle streams flowing through a vast forest. Over time, these streams carve paths through the soil, some becoming deep rivers with strong currents, others remaining as delicate trickles. Neuroplasticity is the process by which these streams can change course, finding new routes through the forest or deepening existing ones. And remarkably, this reshaping doesn't pause when you close your eyes at night. Instead, it may be that some of the most important work happens precisely when consciousness fades and dreams begin to form. Think of how water shapes landscapes over time, not through sudden force, but through gentle persistence. Similarly, your brain reshapes itself not through dramatic, sudden changes, but through countless small adjustments made night after night, dream after dream. There's a certain comfort in this gradual transformation, isn't there? The knowledge that growth doesn't require harsh effort or conscious strain, but can happen in the soft, quiet moments while we sleep. The paths in your mind aren't fixed from birth or even from yesterday. They shift and change with each new experience, each new thought, each new dream. This plasticity is what allows a child to learn language so effortlessly, a musician to play without conscious thought, or someone recovering from injury to find new neural pathways around damaged areas. Your brain is never truly static. It exists in a state of constant, gentle flux. And yet, for all we know about neuroplasticity in waking life, its relationship with dreams remains somewhat mysterious. What exactly is happening when random images and stories float through our sleeping minds? Are these just meaningless fragments of consciousness, or could they be serving a deeper purpose? Could dreams be the tools that this invisible architect uses to reshape our minds while we sleep? The mystery deepens when we consider how vivid dreams can be, how they can create entire worlds within our minds, complete with sensations, emotions, and experiences that feel remarkably real. Perhaps these aren't just idle fantasies, but important simulations that allow our brains to experiment with new neural connections in a safe, consequence-free environment. Like an architect creating blueprints before building begins. Perhaps dreams sketch out the changes that will later be implemented in our waking minds as you rest and listen. Perhaps even drifting in and out of awareness yourself. Consider this gentle mystery. Your brain may be redesigning itself while you dream, not with loud machinery or dramatic reconstruction, but with the quiet precision of a master craftsman working by soft lamplight, making thousands of tiny, perfect adjustments that together create something beautiful and new. Behind your closed eyelids lies a theater unlike any other place, where the rules of reality bend and flow, where impossible things happen nightly, and where you are both the audience and the unwitting director. Dreams transform your mind into a cinematic stage where new realities can be tested, explored, and experienced without the constraints of the physical world. This theater requires no tickets, has no opening hours, and plays a different show every night, crafted specifically for an audience of one. Imagine walking through a landscape that shifts as you move through a beach that transforms into a childhood home, a staircase that spirals endlessly upward, a door that opens onto a scene from your past. In this dream theater, you might find yourself conversing with someone you've never met, or with a loved one long gone. You might discover you can fly, or breathe underwater, or speak languages you've never learned. And throughout it all, there's a curious acceptance of these impossibilities, as if the dreaming mind understands that different rules apply in this special place. The characters that populate this theater are perhaps its most fascinating element. Some bear the faces of people you know, yet act in ways completely unlike their waking selves. Others are strangers, yet somehow familiar. Some may be amalgamations, a smile from one person, the voice of another, the mannerisms of a third. And then there's youth, the dreamer, sometimes watching from within, sometimes observing from without, sometimes being someone else entirely. The boundaries of identity become as fluid as the dreamscapes themselves. There's something deeply peaceful about the way dreams unfold, isn't there? Even when the content is surprising or strange, the experience itself has a floating quality, events flowing into one another like watercolors blending on damp paper. Time stretches and compresses in this theater. A dream that seems to last hours might occupy just minutes of actual sleep, while a brief dream might feel like a moment plucked from a much longer story, the beginning and end lost to the mists of unconsciousness. The lighting in this theater is unlike any you'd find in the waking world, sometimes impossibly vivid, colors more saturated than reality allows. Other times soft and diffuse, edges blurring into shadow. The soundtrack might include sounds you recognize, friends, laughter, the rhythm of rain on a roof, for music that exists nowhere else, composed in the moment by your dreaming mind. And beneath it all runs the gentle current of emotion, sometimes subtle, sometimes overwhelming, coloring the entire experience as you listen now, perhaps already feeling the soft edges of sleep approaching. Consider how remarkable this nightly experience truly is. While your body rests quietly, your mind creates entire worlds, populates them with characters, and immerses you in experiences that can be beautiful, profound, puzzling, or transformative. This theater of the mind operates without conscious direction, yet somehow produces narratives and images that can stay with you long after waking. Like the lingering notes of a beautiful song in this gentle theater, your brain might be doing more than entertaining itself. It might be testing new configurations, exploring possibilities, and rehearsing for waking life. Each scene, each character, each emotion might be serving the quiet work of neuroplasticity, helping your brain reshape itself in the darkness, preparing for the day to come. For much of scientific history, the vivid productions of your dream theater were dismissed as meaningless random firings of a brain in maintenance mode, the neural equivalent of screensavers on old computer monitors. Early scientists saw dreams as curious but unimportant byproducts of sleep. Interesting, perhaps, from a psychological perspective, but hardly worthy of serious neurological study. Like shadows cast by a campfire, dreams were seen as mere reflections of the day's events, interesting patterns without purpose or significance. The great psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud, of course, saw dreams differently, as disguised expressions of unconscious desires, windows into the hidden mind. But even this view didn't capture what modern neuroscience is beginning to understand about dreams. It didn't address what might be happening at the cellular level, in the physical architecture of the brain itself. The possibility that dreams might be actively participating in brain development and reorganization remained unexplored for decades. Imagine scientists of the past watching someone sleep, noting the rapid eye movements, the changes in breathing and heart rate. They could observe the outward signs of dreaming but couldn't see the complex neural activity happening beneath the surface. Like astronomers before the invention of powerful telescopes, they were limited by their tools, able to see only the most obvious phenomena while the deeper mysteries remained hidden from view. But recent discoveries hint at something far stranger. Dreams might be sculpting who we are. Modern brain imaging techniques have revealed that during dream-filled sleep, our brains show patterns of activity remarkably similar to those seen during learning and memory formation while awake. Areas associated with emotion processing, spatial navigation, and even motor skills light up while we dream, suggesting that something more than random neural noise is taking place. What if each dream is not merely a story played out on the stage of consciousness, but a sculptor's tool, carving and shaping neural pathways? What if the surreal landscapes and impossible scenarios of dreams are actually sophisticated simulations that allow the brain to test new connections without the constraints of waking reality? These questions emerge from laboratories where scientists monitor sleeping subjects, measuring the electrical activity of their brains and trying to correlate it with the dream experiences reported upon waking. There's something wonderfully mysterious about this puzzle. The idea that something so seemingly intangible as a dream could have physical effects on the brain's structure. It reminds us that the line between mind and matter, between thought and biology, is perhaps more permeable than we once believed. And it suggests that our nightly journeys through dreamscapes might be serving a profound purpose, one that we're only beginning to understand. As you rest and listen, picture scientists in quiet laboratories, watching screens that display the colorful patterns of brain activity during sleep. Picture them noting how these patterns change during reported dreams, how they sometimes mirror the patterns of learning or emotional processing. And consider how remarkable it is that something as ethereal as a dream might be leaving physical traces in the brain, gently reshaping the organ that shapes our experience of the world. Step now into the quiet hush of a sleep laboratory, where the ordinary act of sleeping becomes the subject of scientific inquiry. The room is dimly lit, with soft blue monitoring lights casting gentle shadows. A volunteer lies in a comfortable bed that doesn't look so different from one you might have at home, except for the array of equipment surrounding it. Electrodes are attached to their scalp, face, and body, not painful, just lightly adhering to the skin with special paste. These sensors will record the subtle electrical activity of the brain and body throughout the night. The atmosphere is peaceful despite the technology. White noise machines hum softly in the background, creating a cocoon of sound that masks any disturbances. The temperature is carefully controlled, not too warm, not too cool, perfect for inducing natural sleep. Researchers move with deliberate quietness, speaking in hushed tones as they check equipment and make final adjustments. There's a reverence to their movements, an acknowledgement that they're about to witness something both ordinary and profound. The sleeping human brain at work. As the volunteer drifts off to sleep, the monitoring equipment begins its silent observation. On nearby screens, brainwaves begin to change, shifting from the faster patterns of wakefulness to the slower, deeper rhythms of early sleep. You can almost feel the transition, that gentle sliding from consciousness into the first light layers of slumber. The body relaxes, breathing becomes regular, and the mind begins its nightly journey. Then, something fascinating happens. After cycling through progressively deeper stages of sleep, the brain activity suddenly changes. The pattern on the screen becomes remarkably similar to that of wakefulness, rapid, desynchronized, alive with activity. Yet the person remains asleep. This is REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, the stage most associated with dreaming. Beneath closed eyelids, the eyes dart back and forth as if watching scenes unfold. The body's major muscles are temporarily paralyzed, a natural protection to prevent us from acting out our dreams. But the brain is alight with activity. It's during these periods that neural circuits light up like fireworks against the night sky. Regions associated with vision activate, even though the eyes are closed. The amygdala, involved in processing emotions, becomes highly active. The hippocampus, crucial for memory, pulses with electrical signals. Meanwhile, interestingly, parts of the prefrontal cortex, responsible for logical thinking and executive function, show reduced activity, perhaps explaining the often illogical nature of dreams. Imagine being able to see this activity as colors flowing through a three-dimensional model of the brain, blues and greens giving way to vibrant purples and reds as REM sleep deepens. Patterns cascade through neural networks, forming connections, strengthening some pathways while weakening others. It's a biological light show, hidden within the darkness of the skull, visible only through the interpreting lens of modern technology. Throughout the night, the sleeper cycles through different sleep stages, from light sleep to deep sleep to REM sleep, then back again. Each complete cycle takes roughly 90 minutes, meaning that on an average night, we might experience 4 or 5 complete cycles, with REM periods generally becoming longer and more intense as the night progresses. It's as if the brain is warming up, preparing for its most important dream work in the hours before dawn. In the gentle quiet of the sleep lab, researchers watch and record, gathering data that will later be analyzed alongside the volunteers' reports of their dream experiences. They're witnessing something that happens every night in bedrooms around the world, the ordinary miracle of the sleeping brain reshaping itself in darkness. There's something deeply moving about this scene, the vulnerability of the sleeper, the quiet attentiveness of the researchers, and between them, the mysterious dance of neurons that might be rewriting the very essence of who we are. Deep within the architecture of your sleeping brain, memories are being transformed. Think of sleep as a master craftsman's workshop, where the raw materials of your daily experiences are carefully sorted, refined, and reshaped into something more permanent and useful. This process memory consolidation is one of the most important functions of sleep and dreaming, though it happens entirely without your awareness or conscious participation. Imagine your daily experiences as rough pieces of metal, each containing something potentially valuable. During wakefulness, these experiences accumulate, some shining brightly in your attention, others barely noticed, but all are gathered, waiting for the quiet hours of sleep when they can be properly processed. When you close your eyes at night, it's as if these memory fragments are placed into a furnace, not to be destroyed, but to be melted down, purified, and reformed into something more lasting. The hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped structure deep in your brain, serves as the initial collector of these experiences. Throughout your waking hours, it rapidly stores information about what you've seen, heard, felt, and done. But this storage is temporary, like notes hastily written that must later be organized into a proper document. During sleep, especially during the deeper stages and REM sleep, these temporary memories begin their journey toward more permanent storage in the neocortex, wrinkled outer layer of the brain responsible for higher functions. There's something peaceful about this process, isn't there? The gentle sorting of the day's events, the quiet determination of what should be kept and what can be allowed to fade. It happens without effort or strain. You simply sleep, and your brain does this important work for you, like a garden that continues to grow while you're away. The memories that emerge from this process aren't identical to what went in. They're refined, connected to existing knowledge, integrated into the broader tapestry of your understanding. Dreams may play a special role in this memory furnace. When you dream about experiences similar to those you've had while awake, perhaps revisiting conversations, places, or activities, your brain might be actively strengthening the neural pathways associated with those memories. Even dreams that seem unrelated to your experiences might be working with the emotional content or underlying patterns of your memories, helping to process them at a deeper level. Consider how certain memories from your childhood remain vivid despite the passage of years. Perhaps the feeling of sunlight on your face during a particular summer day, or the sound of a loved one's voice in a specific moment. These memories have been through the furnace many times, refined and preserved through countless nights of sleep. Other experiences, though they seemed important at the time, have faded completely, deemed less essential by the sleeping brain's quiet wisdom. Research suggests that emotional memories receive special treatment in this process. Things that made you feel strongly, whether with joy, fear, sadness, or wonder, are more likely to be preserved and strengthened during sleep. It's as if your brain recognizes that emotionally significant experiences contain information that might be particularly important for your future well-being. Dreams often reflect this priority, weaving emotionally charged scenarios that help process these powerful memories. As you rest and listen, perhaps drifting in and out of awareness yourself, your brain might already be beginning this gentle work, sorting through the experiences of your day, deciding what to keep and what to let go, preparing memories for their transformation in the furnace of sleep. There's a profound wisdom to this process, a natural intelligence that works best when consciousness steps aside and allows it to unfold in its own time, in its own way. While you sleep tonight, your brain becomes an editor of extraordinary skill and subtlety, not a harsh critic with a red pen, but a thoughtful curator, carefully selecting which scenes from your life deserve emphasis and which might benefit from revision or even removal. Dreams serve as this editor's workroom, a place where the raw footage of your experiences can be cut, rearranged, and rewritten before being committed to the final version of your memories. Imagine the gentle precision of this work, your brain reviewing the day's events, identifying connections between new experiences and existing knowledge, strengthening some neural pathways while allowing others to fade. Like an editor in a darkened room, illuminated only by the glow of a film being reviewed, your sleeping brain watches the scenes of your life, making thousands of small decisions about what serves the overall narrative of who you are and who you're becoming. This editing process doesn't merely preserve experiences exactly as they happened. Instead, it extracts patterns, emphasizes emotional content, and sometimes even creates composite memories that capture the essence of multiple similar experiences. Have you ever noticed how certain childhood memories feel more like distillations of many similar days rather than specific events? This is your brain's editor at work, creating representative memories that efficiently store the most important information without Keeping every detail, dreams often reflect this editing process. In their structure, the way they juxtapose seemingly unrelated scenes, blend characters from different parts of your life, or place familiar people in unfamiliar situations. These aren't random combinations, but may represent your brain testing associations between memories, seeing which connections yield insights or emotional resolutions. It's a form of neural creativity that happens without conscious effort, a natural intelligence working while the conscious mind rests. The editor is particularly interested in emotional content, often revisiting scenes that carry strong feelings. If you've ever had dreams about embarrassing moments, conflicts, or joyful experiences, you've witnessed this process firsthand. Your brain returns to emotionally charged memories, perhaps helping you process these feelings in the safety of the dream state, where real-world consequences are suspended. This emotional processing may be one of dreaming's most important functions, allowing you to work through complex feelings without the immediacy and intensity of waking experience. Interestingly, this editorial process isn't perfect. Sometimes memories are inadvertently changed during consolidation, details altered, or emotions shifted. This explains why eyewitness testimony can be unreliable, or why family members might remember shared experiences quite differently. Each person's brain edits their experiences through the lens of their own existing knowledge, beliefs, and emotional needs. There's something humbling about this imperfection, a reminder that our memories are not perfect recordings, but living, changing stories that our brains continually revise. But editing is only the beginning of what happens in the dream workshop. Beyond sorting and revising memories, your sleeping brain engages in a more profound kind of alchemy, transforming raw experience into understanding, knowledge into wisdom, and perhaps even helping shape who you will become. Like an editor who doesn't merely arrange scenes, but discovers the deeper story they tell together, your dreaming mind may be finding meaning in the patterns of your life as you listen to these words. Perhaps already feeling the gentle pull of sleep, consider that tonight your brain will once again become this diligent editor, reviewing, revising, and reshaping the story of your day, finding connections you hadn't consciously noticed, and quietly preparing you for tomorrow's chapters. Beyond mere editing lies a deeper form of transformation, a kind of emotional alchemy that happens in the crucible of your dreams. While you sleep, your brain doesn't just process information, it processes feelings, turning raw emotional experiences into something more refined, more integrated, and often more manageable. This emotional work happens in the quiet laboratory of your sleeping mind, where feelings can be examined, explored, and transformed without the immediate intensity they carry while awake. Consider how dreams process fear, one of our most powerful emotions. Nightmares, though sometimes disturbing, may serve as a kind of emotional fire drill, allowing your brain to simulate threatening scenarios and practice responses in a safe environment. When you dream of being chased, falling, or facing some danger, your brain activates many of the same circuits involved in actual fear responses. Your heart rate increases, stress hormones rise, and your body briefly prepares for action. Yet you remain safely in bed, giving your brain a chance to process fear without real risk. There's wisdom in this arrangement, isn't there? Like a pilot training in a flight simulator, you get to experience challenging situations and practice responses without the consequences of failure. Over time, this dream practice might help you respond more effectively to real fears when they arise. Studies suggest that people who experience occasional nightmares may actually show greater emotional resilience in waking life because their brains have had more practice processing difficult emotions during sleep. Dreams also work with love and attachment, often bringing loved ones into our sleeping consciousness. You might dream of reunions with people you miss, conversations with those who are distant, or interactions with those you've lost. These dreams can provide a kind of emotional completion or continuation, allowing relationships to evolve even when physical contact isn't possible. Parents often dream about their children, partners about each other, and many people dream about parents or grandparents long after they've passed away. These dreams may help maintain emotional bonds and process complex feelings of connection, longing, or loss. Grief receives special attention in the emotional alchemy of dreams. After losing someone important, many people report dreams in which the person appears sometimes as they were in life, sometimes transformed in symbolic ways. These dreams often change over time, moving from simple replays of memories to more complex interactions that help the dreamer process their grief and gradually adapt to the absence. There's a gentle mercy in this process, the way dreams can provide moments of connection that feel real and meaningful, even while helping us adjust to permanent separation. 2. Is processed in dreams, though perhaps in subtler ways. Have you ever awakened with a lingering sense of happiness from a dream you can barely remember? Your brain may have been activating pleasure circuits, perhaps reinforcing positive experiences or providing emotional balance after difficult days. Some researchers suggest that positive dreams may help counteract negative emotional biases, maintaining psychological well-being by ensuring we don't dwell exclusively on problems or threats. The emotional alchemy of dreams doesn't happen in isolation. It appears to be closely connected with memory consolidation, with emotional memories receiving priority treatment during sleep. Events that made you feel strongly are more likely to be incorporated into dreams and more thoroughly processed during sleep. This makes evolutionary sense emotions signal importance, highlighting experiences that might be crucial for future survival or well-being. As you rest and listen, your brain might already be preparing for tonight's emotional work, identifying feelings that need processing, memories that carry emotional weight, relationships that need tending in the garden of your dreams. There's something deeply reassuring about this natural process, the way your mind cares for your emotional health, even when you're not consciously guiding it. Like a wise friend who knows exactly what you need to talk about. Your dreaming brain gently leads you through emotional territories that might be difficult to navigate while awake. Within the theater of your dreams lies a special kind of stage, a playground of possibilities, where your brain can explore scenarios beyond the constraints of physical reality or social convention. Here, the laws of physics bend to the whims of neural activity, allowing you to fly through cloudy skies, breathe underwater, or witness the passage of centuries in moments. This dream playground isn't merely entertaining. It may be serving a profound evolutionary purpose, allowing your brain to simulate experiences beyond those available in waking life. Imagine how limited our experience would be if we could only learn from what we directly encounter. We would need to face every danger personally, try every possible solution to problems through direct trial and error, and experience every social scenario firsthand. The costs would be enormous in terms of time, energy, and risk. But dreams offer an alternative, virtual reality, created entirely within your own mind, where you can safely experience the impossible and learn from it without consequences. When you dream of flying, your brain activates many of the same motor planning regions that would be involved in actual movement, while simultaneously creating visual and sensory feedback that mimics what such an experience might feel like. The emotional centers of your brain respond with wonder or fear or exhilaration, just as they would to a real experience. Yet no physical laws are broken. No actual danger is faced. The entire scenario unfolds within the protected space of your sleeping mind. Time travel, another impossibility in waking life, becomes effortless in dreams. You might find yourself in childhood scenes with the awareness of your current self, or in unfamiliar futures that reflect your hopes or fears about what might come. These temporal explorations allow your brain to integrate past experiences with current knowledge, or to simulate possible futures based on present circumstances. There's a kind of cognitive flexibility being exercised here, the ability to move between time frames, to see connections across your lifespan, to imagine what might be based on what has been. Even more practically, dreams often simulate survival scenarios: being chased, getting lost, searching for something important, or facing conflict. These themes appear across cultures and throughout recorded history, suggesting they may serve an adaptive function. By practicing responses to threats or challenges while asleep, you might be better prepared should similar situations arise while awake. Your brain runs these simulations automatically, without conscious effort on your part, like an attentive guardian preparing you for whatever might come. The playground extends to social scenarios as well, allowing you to explore interactions that might be too risky or uncomfortable in waking life. Dreams often feature conversations with strangers, confrontations with authorities, or unusual social situations that let you practice different responses and witness potential outcomes. Think of how often dreams involve speaking in public, being unprepared for tests, or finding yourself inappropriately dressed. All scenarios that trigger social anxiety. These simulations might help calibrate your social behavior while awake, making you more adaptive in real interactions. There's something both playful and profound about this aspect of dream. Way it combines the imaginative freedom of childhood, play with the serious business of preparing for life's challenges. Just as children naturally engage in pretend scenarios to practice adult roles and situations, your dreaming brain creates elaborate simulations that may serve a similar developmental purpose throughout life. The playground never closes. It just becomes more sophisticated as you age, incorporating more complex scenarios and more subtle emotional content. As you listen to these words, perhaps already drifting toward sleep yourself, consider what playground your dreams might create tonight. What impossible experiences might your brain simulate? What scenarios might it prepare you for? What creative solutions might emerge from the unrestricted thinking of your dreaming mind? The possibilities are as endless as imagination itself, bound only by the neural pathways your brain chooses to activate as you sleep. The relationship between dreams and skill development reveals another fascinating dimension of neuroplasticity. Research suggests that your brain doesn't just process memories during sleep, can actually improve abilities and enhance learning through the imaginative rehearsal that dreams provide. This phenomenon offers a tantalizing possibility. Perhaps dreams can rewire your brain to make you better at things you've practiced, or even prepare you for skills you haven't yet attempted in waking life. Consider what happens when you learn a new physical skill, playing a musical instrument, mastering a sport, or even something as simple as typing more efficiently. During initial practice, your movements are conscious, deliberate, and often clumsy. But with repetition, the skill becomes more fluid, requiring less conscious attention. This improvement comes from changes in neural pathways connections, strengthening between brain regions involved in the activity, allowing signals to flow more efficiently. And remarkably, this strengthening appears to continue during sleep. Studies with musicians show that sleep after practice leads to greater improvement than the same amount of waking time. Piano players learning new melodies show significant enhancement in speed and accuracy after a night's sleep, even without additional practice. It's as if the brain continues to practice while the body rests, consolidating the neural pathways established during waking practice, and perhaps even refining them further through dream rehearsal. Similar effects appear in sports and other physical skills. Athletes often report dreaming about their activities, especially when learning new techniques. These dreams aren't merely replays of practice sessions, but can include variations and even improvements on movements they've been struggling to master. The brain seems to be experimenting with movement patterns during sleep, testing possibilities that might not have been tried while awake. What makes this process particularly intriguing is that it appears to work through imagination as well as physical practice. Research on mental rehearsal, vividly imagining performing an action without actually moving, shows that this practice can improve actual performance almost as effectively as physical practice in some cases. And dreams might be the most vivid form of mental rehearsal possible, fully immersing you in simulated experiences, complete with sensory feedback and emotional responses. But can dreams make us better at things we've never even tried? This question leads us to even more speculative but fascinating territory. Some researchers suggest that dreams might help prepare us for novel situations by combining elements of past experience into new scenarios. By simulating variations on skills we already possess, dreams might help us adapt more quickly when facing new challenges that require similar abilities. Think about how often you've dreamed of doing something you've never done, speaking a language you don't know, playing an instrument you've never touched, or moving with a grace you don't possess while awake. While these dreams don't magically grant you new abilities, they might be exercising the neural networks that would be involved in these activities, perhaps making them more receptive to actual learning when the opportunity arises. There's something wonderfully efficient about this arrangement, the way your brain uses the quiet hours of sleep to continue learning, practicing, and preparing for future challenges. Like a student who studies while others sleep, your brain makes use of every available moment, working even when consciousness has stepped aside. And all of this happens naturally, without deliberate effort on your part, guided by the innate wisdom of neurological processes refined over millions of years of evolution. As you rest and listen, perhaps already feeling the gentle pull of sleep, consider what skills your dreams might be refining tonight. What neural pathways might be strengthening as you sleep? What abilities might be improving through the quiet practice of your dreaming mind? There's comfort in knowing that even as you rest, your brain continues its gentle work of making you more capable, more adaptable, and better prepared for whatever tomorrow might bring. Among the most profound examples of neuroplasticity and dreaming lies in the mysterious experience of phantom limbs, the sensation that an amputated limb is still present and sometimes still moving. This phenomenon offers a window into how deeply movement patterns are encoded in the brain, and how dreams can interact with these patterns in remarkable ways. For those who have lost limbs, dreams often reveal something extraordinary about how the brain maintains its image of the body, even when that image no longer matches physical reality. Imagine someone who has lost an arm or leg through accident or illness. In waking life, they experience the strange sensation that the missing limb is still there, sometimes painfully present, sometimes just a ghost-like awareness. This phantom limb sensation occurs because the brain areas that once controlled the limb and received sensory information from it remain intact. These neural networks maintain their connections and activity patterns, continuing to generate the experience of the limb even in its physical absence. What's particularly fascinating is what happens when these individuals dream. Many amputees report that in their dreams, their bodies are whole again. They run on legs. They no longer have grasp objects with hands that were lost years ago, and move with the completeness they remember from before their amputation. In the dream state, the brain's internal model of the body often reverts to its original configuration, unmodified by the physical changes that have occurred. This phenomenon tells us something profound about how movement is encoded in the brain. Motor programs, the neural patterns that control specific movements, exist somewhat independently from the physical body they were designed to control. They are patterns of activity that can be activated during dreams, even when the corresponding body parts are no longer present to execute the movements. It's as if the brain maintains a complete blueprint of the body, regardless of changes to the physical structure. For some amputees, these dreams can be bittersweet from temporary relief from the limitations of their waking condition, but also highlighting their loss upon awakening. For others, dreams provide a kind of continuity, a reassurance that at some level their sense of bodily wholeness persists despite physical changes. And for scientists studying neuroplasticity, these experiences offer valuable insights into how the brain maintains and modifies its internal models. Particularly relevant to our exploration is how these phantom limb dreams demonstrate the brain's ability to rewire itself in response to major changes. After amputation, the brain gradually adapts, often reallocating the neural real estate once devoted to the missing limb. Areas that once processed sensations from a hand might begin responding to touch on the face or another part of the body. This remarkable reorganization shows how flexible the brain remains, even in adulthood. Yet, the original neural patterns aren't completely erased. They persist alongside the new configurations, sometimes emerging during dreams when the conscious control of waking life is suspended. It's as if the brain maintains multiple maps of the body simultaneously, with different versions becoming dominant depending on the state of consciousness and the demands of the moment. Something deeply moving about this aspect of brain function, the way it holds onto patterns that were once useful, even as it adapts to new realities. Like an architect who preserves elements of an old building while renovating it for new purposes, the brain balances conservation and innovation, maintaining continuity amid change. And dreams provide a unique window into this process, revealing both what the brain remembers and how it adapts. As you listen to these words, perhaps already feeling the gentle heaviness of approaching sleep, consider the remarkable plasticity of your own brain, its ability to maintain stable patterns while simultaneously adapting to new circumstances. Consider how your dreams might reveal aspects of your neural architecture that remain hidden during waking hours, and how they might be participating in the ongoing reorganization that keeps your brain responsive to the changing demands of your life. In the vast landscape of dream experiences lies a rare and fascinating phenomenon: lucid dreaming, the state in which you become aware that you're dreaming while remaining in the dream state. This unusual form of consciousness creates a unique opportunity, allowing the dreamer to become an active participant in the dream rather than merely a passive experiencer. In the context of neuroplasticity, lucid dreaming represents something truly remarkable, a moment when conscious intention and dream plasticity might intersect, potentially allowing direct participation in the brain's rewiring process. Imagine becoming aware within a dream that you are, in fact, dreaming. The realization might come gradually. Perhaps you notice something impossible or inconsistent that triggers your awareness, or it might arrive suddenly, like a light switching on in a dark room. Either way, this moment of lucidity creates a distinctive state of consciousness, one in which you're simultaneously immersed in the dream world and aware of its constructed nature. It's as if you've stepped behind the scenes of a play while it continues to unfold around you. With this awareness comes a degree of control. Many lucid dreamers discover they can influence the dream environment, changing scenes, summoning objects or characters, or even altering the laws of physics within the dream. You might decide to fly, walk through walls, or transform the landscape around you. This control isn't always complete or reliable, but it introduces an element of intentionality that's absent from ordinary dreaming. You become not just an actor reading a script, but something closer to a playwright, revising the story as it unfolds. The potential implications for neuroplasticity are profound. If dreams participate in the brain's rewiring process, consolidating memories, practicing skills, processing emotions, then lucid dreams might allow conscious participation in this typically unconscious process. Like an architect who gains the ability to modify blueprints during construction rather than before it begins, the lucid dreamer might directly influence how their brain reorganizes itself during sleep. research on lucid dreaming and skill development offers preliminary support for this possibility. Studies suggest that practicing physical skills during lucid dreams can improve waking performance. Piano players who practice pieces during lucid dreams show improvements similar to physical practice. Athletes who mentally rehearse movements with the vivid realism that lucid dreams provide report enhanced performance upon waking. It's as if the brain treats these dream practices as real experiences, strengthening the neural pathways involved just as physical practice would. Emotional processing, too, might be enhanced through lucid dreaming. Some therapists have explored using lucid dreams to help people confront fears in a controlled environment, or to complete unfinished emotional business with dream representations of important figures in their lives. By consciously engaging with emotional content that might otherwise be processed more passively, lucid dreamers might participate more directly in their emotional healing and growth. Learning to become lucid in dreams requires practice and patience. Various techniques have been developed, from regularly questioning whether you're dreaming during waking hours, which eventually carries over into dreams, to recognizing common dream signs that can trigger lucidity. Some people naturally experience lucid dreams more frequently than others, but most can increase their frequency through dedicated practice. There's something both empowering and humbling about this aspect of dream experience, the possibility of conscious participation in processes that normally happen beyond awareness, like learning to influence your breathing or heart rate through meditation. Developing lucid dreaming capacity represents an expansion of conscious influence into typically automatic processes. Yet, even in lucidity, the dreamer remains surrounded by content emerging from unconscious sources, a reminder that consciousness is always supported by vastly larger unconscious processes. As you listen to these words, perhaps already drifting toward sleep, consider the possibility that tonight you might become aware within a dream. What would you choose to do with that awareness? How might you use that special state to explore, to practice, to heal, or simply to experience the remarkable creativity of your own mind? The opportunity might be waiting for you in the quiet hours ahead. An invitation to become not just a witness to your brain's nighttime work, but a gentle collaborator in its ongoing self-creation. Beneath the colorful surface of dream content lies a remarkable neural network that becomes particularly active during dreaming, a collection of brain regions known as the default mode network (DM). This network, first identified in the late 1990s, reveals itself most clearly when the brain isn't focused on specific external tasks. When you're not concentrating on work, solving problems, or responding to your environment, when your mind is wandering, daydreaming, or sleeping, the DMN lights up like a constellation against the night sky of neural activity. Imagine this network as a shadow system, working quietly in the background while your attention is directed elsewhere during waking hours, then emerging into prominence during sleep when external demands recede. The DMN includes several key regions: the medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate cortex, and parts of the parietal cortex among them, that communicate intensely with one another, creating a kind of internal conversation that continues even when your conscious mind has stepped aside. What makes this network particularly fascinating is its role in self-referential thinking thoughts about yourself, your past experiences, your relationships, and your possible futures. The DMN appears to be central to autobiographical memory, to imagining scenarios involving yourself, and to maintaining your sense of identity across time. It's the neural basis for your inner narrative, the story you tell yourself about who you are and how you relate to the world around you. During dreaming, especially REM sleep, this network becomes highly active while many externally focused brain systems quiet down. It's as if the DMN is finally free to take center stage, weaving narratives without the constraints imposed by immediate external reality. The dreams that emerge often reflect this self-referential quality, featuring you as the central character, incorporating elements of your memories and concerns, and exploring scenarios relevant to your emotional life. This shadow network may be the key to creativity itself. The connections formed during this default mode activity often link seemingly unrelated concepts, memories, or ideas, creating the novel associations that lie at the heart of creative thinking. When you suddenly see a connection between disparate fields, or when a solution to a problem appears in your mind apparently from nowhere, you may be benefiting from the quiet work of the DMN, making associations below the threshold of conscious awareness. Dreams represent this associative process in its purest form, freed from the logical constraints of waking thought. The DMN can create connections that might seem bizarre or nonsensical by day, but contain emotional or symbolic truths that can lead to insights. Have you ever awakened with a solution to a problem that had eluded you while awake, or with a creative idea that seemed to arrive fully formed? These experiences may reflect the DMN's nighttime work, making connections that conscious, directed thinking couldn't discover. Research suggests that people with more active or well-connected DMNs tend to score higher on measures of creativity and divergent thinking. They're better at generating multiple solutions to problems, seeing unusual connections between concepts, and thinking beyond conventional boundaries. And interestingly, these same people often report more vivid and frequent dreams, suggesting a connection between dream activity and creative capacity that might be mediated by this shadow network. Something almost mystical about this aspect of brain function, the way meaning and insight can emerge from neural activity that happens largely beyond conscious control. Like an underground river flowing beneath the visible landscape of thought, the DMN carries currents of association and meaning that occasionally surface in dreams, creative insights, or moments of self-understanding. And yet, for all its seeming mystery, this network is a physical system, neurons communicating through electrochemical signals, following patterns shaped by both genetic programming and life experience. As you rest and listen, perhaps already feeling the boundaries between waking and sleeping beginning to blur, your default mode network may be becoming more active, preparing for the night's dream work. The quiet background hum of self-referential thought that's always present may be growing stronger, ready to take center stage when external awareness recedes. There's a gentle comfort in knowing that this shadow network is always there, weaving connections and finding patterns even when you're not consciously directing it. Throughout history, some of the most profound scientific and artistic breakthroughs have emerged not from conscious reasoning, or methodical experimentation, but from the mysterious realm of dreams and sleep-influenced thinking. These moments of midnight genius offer compelling evidence for the role of dreams in rewiring the brain for creativity and insight, creating neural connections that might never form during the logical, linear thinking of full wakefulness. Consider Albert Einstein, whose theory of relativity was reportedly inspired by a dream in which he was sledding down a mountainside, approaching the speed of light. As he accelerated in the dream, the stars around him changed their appearance, offering a visual representation of how light behaves at extreme speeds. Upon waking, Einstein recognized this dream imagery as a key to understanding the relationship between time, space, and velocity that would become central to his revolutionary theory. The dream had created connections between his abstract mathematical knowledge and visual, experiential understanding, bridging different modes of thought in a way that his waking mind had not. Nikola Tesla, the brilliant inventor and electrical engineer, claimed to visualize his inventions completely in his mind before building them, often receiving these visions in hypnagogic states, the twilight consciousness between wakefulness and sleep. His alternating current motor, a fundamental technology in modern electrical systems, reportedly appeared to him in one such vision while he was watching a sunset. The rotation of the sun in his vision somehow triggered the conceptual breakthrough he needed, connecting previously separate ideas into a functional whole. The world of art and literature provides equally compelling examples. Mary Shelley conceived the idea for Frankenstein, one of literature's most enduring works, during a half-waking dream in which she saw the pale student of unhallowed arts kneeling beside the thing he had put together. This single dream image contained the essence of a novel that would explore profound questions about creation, responsibility, and the boundaries of science, questions that continue to resonate to centuries later. The surrealist painter Salvador Dali deliberately cultivated hypnagogic imagery by falling asleep holding a key over a plate. As he drifted off, his fingers would relax, dropping the key onto the plate and waking him, allowing him to capture the bizarre, dreamlike images that appeared in this borderland between sleep and wakefulness. His famous melting clocks and stretched landscapes emerged from this practice, representing visual concepts that rational waking thought would never produce. What these examples share is a quality of unexpected connection, the brain linking previously separate domains of knowledge or experience in novel ways. This is precisely what neuroplasticity enables: the formation of new neural pathways between previously unconnected or weakly connected brain regions. During sleep and dreams, when the conscious, logical filters of waking thought are diminished, these new connections can form more readily, allowing insights that might never emerge from deliberate reasoning. Were these sparks of genius rewired by neuroplasticity during sleep? Modern neuroscience suggests this is likely. The brain's increased plasticity during sleep, combined with the unique activation patterns of dreaming where the usual hierarchies of brain function are temporarily reorganized, creates ideal conditions for novel connections to form. The default mode network becomes highly active, associations flow more freely, and emotional brain regions communicate more directly with cognitive areas. This neural environment seems perfectly designed to foster the kind of breakthrough thinking that has driven human innovation throughout history. What's particularly fascinating is that these dream insights often arrive after periods of intense conscious work on a problem, followed by stepping away, a pattern scientists call incubation. It's as if the conscious mind must first gather all the relevant information and define the problem clearly, then step aside to allow the sleeping brain to reconfigure this information in new ways. The insight appears as a gift from the dreaming mind to the waking one, a solution assembled in darkness and delivered in light. As you listen to these words, perhaps already feeling the gentle approach of sleep, consider what problems or questions you've been wrestling with in your waking hours. What insights might your dreaming mind be preparing to offer? What connections might form tonight in the quiet laboratory of your sleeping brain? The genius of midnight may be waiting to speak to you in the language of dreams. Beyond memory consolidation and creative insight, dreams may serve an even more fundamental purpose, aiding in healing and recovery from both physical and psychological trauma. This healing dimension of dreams reveals yet another facet of sleep-dependent neuroplasticity, showing how the brain can rewire itself during sleep to adapt to injury, process difficult experiences, and restore healthy function. In the quiet darkness of night, remarkable restorative processes unfold, using dreams as tools for recovery and renewal. Consider what happens in the brain after a stroke when blood flow to a region is interrupted, causing neural damage. In the aftermath, survivors often face significant challenges as brain functions previously handled by the damaged area are compromised. Yet, over time, many people recover some or all of these functions as the brain gradually reorganizes itself, recruiting undamaged regions to take over tasks previously performed by the injured area. This remarkable adaptation represents neuroplasticity at its most profound, the brain literally rewiring itself to compensate for damage. Research suggests that sleep plays a crucial role in this recovery process. During sleep, especially deep sleep and REM sleep, the brain increases production of growth factors, chemical messengers that promote neural growth and new connections. Blood flow to the brain increases, delivering oxygen and nutrients needed for repair. And interestingly, stroke survivors often report unusually vivid dreams during recovery periods, as if the dreaming brain is working overtime to establish new neural pathways around damaged areas. Imagine the gentle persistence of this healing process night after night. As the person sleeps, their brain works to create new connections, strengthen alternative pathways, and gradually restore functions that were temporarily lost. Like water finding new channels around an obstacle, neural activity finds new routes through the brain's complex network. And dreams may be both a reflection of this process and an active participant in it, creating simulations that help exercise and strengthen these emerging pathways. Psychological trauma benefits from similar nighttime healing. After experiencing frightening or overwhelming events, many people have dreams that revisit the experience in various forms, sometimes directly, sometimes through metaphor or symbolism. While these dreams can be disturbing, they may serve an important purpose in processing the emotional impact of trauma and gradually integrating it into one's broader life narrative. These trauma-related dreams often follow a pattern over time. Initially, they may closely replicate the traumatic event, triggering similar emotions to those experienced during the actual trauma. But as healing progresses, the dreams typically become less literal and less emotionally overwhelming. The brain seems to be reprocessing the experience, gradually transforming it from an active threat into a manageable memory. This progression reflects the underlying neural changes, formation of new connections that allow the traumatic memory to be stored and retrieved without triggering the full emotional and physiological stress response. 4. People with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. This natural healing process can become disrupted, with traumatic dreams remaining intensely distressing rather than gradually transforming. Some therapeutic approaches focus on helping restore this natural progression, allowing the dreaming brain to resume its healing work. Therapies like image rehearsal therapy help people reimagine their recurring nightmares with different, less threatening outcomes, essentially providing new scripts that the dreaming brain can incorporate into its nighttime processing. The narrative of healing through dreams extends to emotional wounds as well. Dreams often process grief, heartbreak, disappointment, and other painful emotions, creating scenarios that allow these feelings to be experienced and transformed in the safety of the dream state. Have you ever had dreams about a lost loved one that seemed to provide a sense of closure or connection? Or dreams that helped you work through feelings about a difficult situation? These experiences reflect the emotional healing that can happen during sleep. There's something profoundly hopeful about this aspect of dreams, the way they participate in the brain's natural movement toward healing and wholeness. Like a garden that continues growing even after storm damage, the brain has an inherent tendency toward repair and adaptation, and dreams provide a special environment where this healing work can unfold, protected from the demands and distractions of waking life. As you rest and listen, perhaps already drifting toward sleep yourself, consider the healing that might be happening in your own brain tonight. What wounds, whether physical, emotional, or psychological, might your dreaming mind be gently tending? What new connections might be forming in the quiet workshop of sleep? There's comfort in knowing that, even as you rest, your brain continues its gentle work of repair, renewal, and growth. While dreams and neuroplasticity offer remarkable opportunities for learning, creativity, and healing, there exists a shadow side to this relationship. What happens when the rewiring goes awry? Sleep disorders and disrupted dream patterns can sometimes lead to neuroplasticity that works against well-being, creating or reinforcing problematic neural pathways rather than beneficial ones. Understanding this darker dimension helps complete our picture of how dreams participate in the brain's ongoing self-modification. Imagine the brain's plasticity as a powerful tool like fire, capable of providing warmth and light when properly contained, but potentially destructive when it burns out of control. In certain sleep disorders, the carefully orchestrated balance of neural activation during sleep becomes disrupted, potentially leading to unhelpful or even harmful patterns of connectivity. The very plasticity that allows for healing and growth can, under certain circumstances, strengthen neural circuits associated with distress or dysfunction. Consider chronic insomnia, condition where someone regularly struggles to fall or stay asleep. Research suggests that over time, the brain of someone with insomnia actually becomes rewired to maintain the condition. The neural circuits associated with arousal and vigilance strengthen, while those supporting the transition to sleep weaken. The brain essentially learns to stay awake, developing associations between bedtime and alertness rather than relaxation. What begins as occasional difficulty sleeping can gradually become encoded in the brain's physical structure through misguided neuroplasticity. Recurrent nightmares represent another concerning intersection of dreams and plasticity. While occasional nightmares are normal and may even serve adaptive functions, some people experience the same frightening dreams repeatedly over long periods. Each recurrence potentially strengthens the neural pathways associated with that particular nightmare scenario and its accompanying emotional distress. Rather than processing and resolving difficult emotions, these recurring dreams may reinforce fear responses, creating a cycle that becomes increasingly difficult to break. Sleep apnea, condition where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep, disrupts the normal progression of sleep stages, often preventing sufferers from getting adequate deep sleep and REM sleep. Since these stages are crucial for healthy neuroplasticity, their disruption can have far-reaching effects on brain function. People with untreated sleep apnea often experience cognitive difficulties, memory problems, and mood disturbances, all potentially related to disrupted sleep-dependent plasticity. Even the relationship between dreams and memory can sometimes work against well-being. For people who have experienced trauma, the brain's tendency to strengthen emotionally significant memories during sleep can sometimes amplify traumatic memories rather than helping integrate them. Instead of gradually transforming these memories into less emotionally charged forms, sleep might maintain or even enhance their emotional impact, contributing to conditions like PTSD, where traumatic memories remain intensely distressing. What happens when the rewiring goes wrong, which further disrupts sleep, creating a downward spiral that can be difficult to interrupt without intervention? The brain's natural tendency toward adaptation, usually beneficial, can sometimes work against recovery by strengthening maladaptive patterns with each repetition. Yet even in these challenging conditions, the brain's plasticity offers hope. The same capacity for change that allowed unhelpful patterns to develop can potentially be redirected toward healing. Therapeutic approaches often focus on providing new experiences and associations that can gradually reshape neural pathways in more beneficial directions. For sleep disorders, this might involve cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, imagery rehearsal therapy for nightmares, or medical interventions. For conditions like sleep apnea, there's something both cautionary and hopeful in this understanding of sleep. Disorders a recognition that the brain's remarkable adaptability requires care and attention, like a garden that will grow both flowers and weeds depending on what is planted and tended. The sleeping brain develops in response to the conditions it regularly experiences, creating environments and practices that support healthy sleep becomes not just a matter of comfort, but of protecting the brain's physical integrity. As you listen to these words, perhaps already feeling the gentle weight of approaching sleep, consider the precious opportunity that each night's rest represents, a chance for your brain to strengthen helpful connections, weaken unhelpful ones, and maintain the delicate balance that supports well-being. There's a certain responsibility in this knowledge, an invitation to value and protect the quiet hours when your brain performs some of its most important work in the quiet theater of your dreams. Something extraordinary happens. You don't just witness single scenes or isolated moments, but entire parallel realities, complete with their own internal logic and continuity. These dream worlds, crafted by your sleeping brain, often feature versions of yourself that may differ subtly or dramatically from your waking identity. This phenomenon raises a fascinating possibility. Dreams might be creating simulations of alternate selves, allowing your brain to explore different configurations of your personality, abilities, and responses to life's challenges. Imagine for a moment the remarkable complexity of these simulations. In dreams, you might find yourself speaking languages you don't know in waking life, exhibiting skills you haven't mastered, or responding to situations with confidence you don't normally feel. You might be braver or more cautious, more articulate or more emotional, more creative or more analytical than your waking self. These variations aren't random, but often represent meaningful, alternatives versions of yourself that could potentially exist under different circumstances or with different neural configurations. From a neuroplasticity perspective, these simulations could serve an important function. By temporarily activating alternative neural patterns, connections between brain regions than those typically dominant during wakefulness, dreams might allow the brain to test these configurations without committing to them permanently. It's as if your brain is running experiments, seeing how different internal arrangements might function, which might respond better to certain challenges, which might offer capacities your current configuration lacks. Each night, you might live 1,000 different lives. The shy person dreams of speaking confidently to a crowd. The cautious person dreams of taking bold risks. The logical person dreams of creating art. These experiences aren't merely fantasies, but may represent genuine neural states, temporary arrangements of brain activity that create real experiences of being slightly different versions of yourself. And these experiences, though brief, might influence your waking self through the lasting changes they leave in neural connectivity. Consider how dreams sometimes reveal capacities you didn't know you had. People occasionally report solving problems in dreams that eluded them while awake, showing creativity they don't normally access, or exhibiting emotional responses that feel authentic but unfamiliar. These experiences suggest that our waking identity represents just one of many potential configurations of our neural resources, a stable pattern that emerged through development and experience, but not the only pattern possible given the same physical brain. This perspective offers a new way of understanding dream experiences that might otherwise seem merely bizarre or meaningless. When you dream of being someone quite different from your waking self, perhaps with different abilities, different emotional responses, even different personal history, your brain might be exploring alternative ways of organizing its vast resources. Like an architect creating different designs using the same building materials, your dreaming brain might be testing different ways of being you. There's something both liberating and humbling about this possibility, the idea that your sense of self, for all its apparent solidity, might be just one of many possible configurations of your neural architecture. Your identity isn't fixed or absolute, but represents a particular organization of neural activity that has proven stable and adaptive in your specific life circumstances. Dreams remind us of the fluidity beneath this apparent stability, the multitude of potential selves that exist within the same physical brain. This understanding might also explain why dreams can sometimes feel so meaningful, or revealing why we occasionally awaken with the sense that we've discovered something important about ourselves. These moments might represent genuine insights into alternative possibilities within us, glimpses of capacities or perspectives that exist as potential but haven't been fully integrated into our waking identity. The dream hasn't created something from nothing, but has revealed something that was already there, hidden in the complex network of our neural connections. As you rest and listen, perhaps already feeling the boundaries between waking and sleeping beginning to blur, consider what alternate versions of yourself might emerge in tonight's dreams. What capacities might your sleeping brain explore? What aspects of yourself, usually quiet in waking life, might become temporarily dominant? Each night, as you sleep, you may be not just resting but exploring the rich multiplicity of who you are and who you might become. On the horizon of dream research lies a frontier both promising and concerning: the potential for scientifically guided dream manipulation to enhance learning, creativity, and healing. As our understanding of the relationship between dreams and neuroplasticity deepens, researchers are beginning to explore ways to deliberately influence dream content and patterns, potentially harnessing the brain's nighttime plasticity for specific purposes. This emerging field raises profound questions about the benefits and risks of intervening in processes that have evolved over millions of years. Imagine a future where learning a new language could be enhanced by targeted dream stimulation. Already, preliminary research suggests that playing soft sounds associated with newly learned vocabulary during deep sleep can improve retention. These sounds don't awaken the sleeper but appear to activate the memory consolidation processes that naturally occur during sleep, strengthening the neural pathways associated with the new words. The sleeping brain, already engaged in organizing and strengthening memories, is gently guided to prioritize specific learning content or consider the possibilities for healing emotional wounds through dream intervention. Therapies like image rehearsal therapy, where people with chronic nightmares learn to reimagine and rewrite their disturbing dreams while awake, have shown promising results. These reimagined scenarios seem to influence subsequent dream content, gradually transforming frightening dreams into more neutral or even positive experiences. As this approach develops, more sophisticated techniques might emerge for guiding dreams toward healing narratives that help reorganize traumatic memories into less distressing forms. Creative problem solving, too, might be enhanced through dream manipulation. Research has demonstrated that exposing people to subtle cues related to a problem they're trying to solve just before sleep can increase the likelihood of dream-inspired insights by priming the brain with relevant information and questions. Scientists can sometimes influence the content of dreams in ways that promote creative connections and novel solutions, Future approaches might refine this process, more reliably directing the extraordinary associative power of dreams towards specific creative challenges. Even lucid dreaming, state of becoming aware that you're dreaming while remaining in the dream, is becoming more accessible through technological interventions. Devices that detect REM sleep and provide subtle cues to the dreamer can increase the likelihood of achieving lucidity, potentially allowing more people to consciously participate in and direct their dreams. These technologies might eventually enable more reliable access to the unique state of consciousness that lucid dreaming represents, with its potential benefits for skill development, emotional processing, and creative exploration. Yet amid these exciting possibilities lies an important question. Should we tamper with the architect of our own minds? Dreams and sleep have evolved over millions of years, finely tuned by natural selection to serve complex biological and psychological functions. Many of these functions likely operate below the threshold of our conscious understanding. By intervening in these processes, might we disrupt delicate balances or create unintended consequences that we cannot anticipate? Consider how little we still understand about dreams despite centuries of scientific inquiry. The full relationship between dream content and brain plasticity remains largely mysterious. Dreams may serve purposes we haven't yet identified, operating according to principles we haven't yet discerned. Intervening in such complex, evolved systems without complete understanding carries inherent risks, like trying to improve a symphony without fully understanding music theory, or altering an ecosystem without comprehending all the relationships between species. There are also profound ethical and philosophical dimensions to dream manipulation. Dreams represent one of the few remaining spaces largely free from external influence and technological mediation, a private theater of the mind where unconscious processes can unfold according to their own wisdom. Is there value in preserving this space? Does the potential for enhanced learning or accelerated healing justify bringing conscious direction and technological intervention into this last frontier of natural mental activity? These questions have no simple answers, but they invite thoughtful consideration as dream science advances. Perhaps the wisest approach lies in a middle path, developing interventions that work with, rather than against, the natural processes of dreaming, that respect the evolved wisdom of sleep while offering gentle guidance where it might be beneficial. Like a gardener who prunes and waters, but ultimately trusts the plant's innate capacity for growth, we might learn to collaborate with our dreaming minds rather than attempting to control them. As you listen to these words, perhaps already drifting toward sleep yourself, consider your own relationship with dreams. Do you see them as messages to be received, experiences to be enjoyed, or processes to be potentially directed? How would you feel about technologies that could influence your dream content? These reflections touch on fundamental questions about the relationship between consciousness and unconsciousness, between technology and nature, between intervention and acceptance. Questions that will become increasingly important. Understanding of dreams and neuroplasticity continues to evolve as we've journeyed through the landscape of dreams and neuroplasticity. We've traversed the boundary between what we know and what we can only wonder about, this liminal space between established science and open questions, between physical processes and subjective experience, us to consider a philosophical dimension. Are dreams merely illusions, fleeting neurological static with no inherent meaning? Or might they represent hidden realities that shape us in ways more profound than we yet understand? The strictly materialist view would suggest that dreams are essentially epiphenomenal byproducts of brain maintenance processes with no significance beyond their role in memory, consolidation, and neural housekeeping. In this view, the content of dreams, their stories, images, and emotions, would be incidental, like the patterns of sparks from a grinding wheel, beautiful perhaps, but not meaningful in themselves. Dreams would be illusions in the sense that they create experiences without corresponding external reality, neural simulations with no reference beyond themselves. Yet this perspective struggles to account for the remarkable qualities of dream experience, the emotional depth, the occasional insights, the strange wisdom that sometimes emerges from dreams. If dreams were merely random neural activity, why would they so often feature coherent narratives? Why would they address emotional concerns from waking life? Why would they sometimes offer solutions to problems or creative inspirations that conscious thought couldn't produce? The patterns seem too consistent, too responsive to our needs and circumstances, to be merely incidental. Perhaps dreams occupy a middle ground between illusion and reality, not corresponding to external physical events, certainly, but representing genuine realities of another kind. They might be understood as simulations that create real experiences with real effects on the physical brain. When you feel joy or fear in a dream, these emotions involve actual neural activity in emotional centers, actual hormonal responses, actual bodily reactions. The experience itself is real, even if what it seems to represent is not. More intriguingly, dreams might be understood as revealing realities about ourselves that are normally hidden from conscious awareness. Just as telescopes reveal distant stars invisible to the naked eye, dreams might reveal aspects of our inner landscape that remain unseen during wakefulness. The alternate selves we experience in dreams, the unexpected connections between ideas, the emotional responses different from our waking patterns, these might represent genuine aspects of who we are, potential configurations of our neural architecture that exist as possibilities even when not actively expressed. The philosophical traditions of many cultures have suggested even more profound possibilities, that dreams might access transpersonal knowledge or collective experience in some way. While modern neuroscience doesn't provide evidence for dreams as supernatural phenomena, it does reveal how extensively our brains are shaped by shared human experiences encoded in language, culture, and perhaps even genetics. The archetypal themes that appear in dreams across different cultures might reflect these shared patterns. These common structures of human experience that transcend individual lives. Between illusion and reality lies a space of uncertainty, a recognition that these categories themselves might be more fluid than we typically acknowledge. What we call reality is itself a construction of the brain, an interpretation of sensory data filtered through expectations, beliefs, and prior experience. And what we might dismiss as illusion can have real effects on brain structure through neuroplasticity. literally reshaping the physical substrate of experience. Dreams blur this boundary, creating experiences that are simultaneously not real in the conventional sense, yet real in their neural implementation and their lasting effects, perhaps. What dreams offer is not truth in the factual sense, but truth in the experiential sense, authentic encounters with aspects of ourselves and our world that might remain inaccessible through other means, like art or music. Dreams might communicate through pattern, metaphor, and emotion rather than literal representation, conveying meanings that can't be reduced to simple statements but must be experienced to be understood. As you rest and listen, perhaps already drifting in that peaceful space between wakefulness and sleep, consider allowing yourself to float in this philosophical uncertainty, neither dismissing dreams as mere illusions nor ascribing to them supernatural significance, but appreciating them as experiences that may reveal aspects of reality not accessible to waking consciousness, patterns in your own neural architecture, possibilities within your own mind, connections between experiences that logical thought might never discover. In this gentle uncertainty, there's room for wonder, for the recognition that despite all we've learned about the brain and its workings, the experience of being human remains in many ways as mysterious as it has always been. Dreams remind us of this mystery, inviting us not to solve it completely, but to dwell within it with curiosity and openness. Every night as you fall asleep, your brain begins against rewiring and quietly sculpting who you will be tomorrow. This gentle process happens without effort or strain on your part, guided by the wisdom of biological processes refined over countless generations. Like a garden that grows while the gardener rests, your brain continues its important work even when consciousness recedes, making thousands of tiny adjustments that together create something new and meaningful. The neuroplasticity that allows this continuous reshaping represents one of the most remarkable aspects of being human, the capacity to change, to adapt, to grow throughout life. While other animals show some degree of brain plasticity, especially early in development, the human brain maintains this flexibility to an extraordinary degree, allowing us to learn new skills, form new memories, and even reshape our emotional responses well into adulthood. And dreams, those mysterious narratives that unfold behind closed eyelids, appear to play a special role in this ongoing process of self-creation. Think of how a single night's sleep can transform your experience. Problems that seemed insurmountable in the evening often appear more manageable in the morning. Emotional reactions that felt overwhelming may soften somewhat after sleep. Skills practiced during the day often improve overnight without additional practice. These changes aren't magical, but reflect the quiet work of sleep-dependent neuroplasticity, the brain reorganizing itself during the night, strengthening useful connections, weakening others, integrating new experiences with existing knowledge. Dreams may serve as both windows into this process and active participants in it. When you dream of experiences similar to those you've had while awake, your brain might be consolidating memories, strengthening the neural pathways that encode important information. When you dream of novel scenarios or impossible situations, your brain might be creating simulations that help prepare you for future challenges or exploring creative connections between previously separate domains of knowledge. When you dream of emotional situations, your brain might be processing feelings, finding ways to integrate difficult experiences into your broader understanding of yourself and your world. There's something deeply reassuring about this natural process, the way it continues reliably, night after night, requiring nothing from you but the willingness to rest. You don't need to direct it or control it or even understand it fully. Like breathing or heartbeat, sleep-dependent neuroplasticity happens automatically, guided by the innate wisdom of biological systems that have evolved over millions of years to support your well-being and adaptation. Yet there's also something wonderfully mysterious about it, the way this physical process, this exchange of electrochemical signals between neurons, can produce the subjective experience of dreams. How remarkable that networks of cells can generate worlds within worlds, complete with characters, narratives, emotions, and insights. How extraordinary that the same brain that perceives and interprets the external world can create entire inner worlds during sleep, worlds that feel as real as waking life while they last. As our exploration of dreams and neuroplasticity comes to a close, perhaps the most appropriate response is simply wonder appreciation for the remarkable processes that unfold within us every night. Gratitude for the brain's natural tendency toward growth and adaptation, and curiosity about the dreams that await us in the hours ahead. What worlds might your brain create tonight? What connections might form as you sleep? What gentle reshaping might occur in the quiet darkness behind your closed eyelids? The stars will shine long after we are gone, their light crossing endless space. The brain's capacity for change and growth, for creating and destroying connections, for remembering and forgetting and reimagining, will continue its quiet work regardless of whether we understand it fully. But tonight, as you rest, perhaps there's comfort in knowing that something remarkable is happening within you, that even in sleep, perhaps especially in sleep, you continue to grow and change and become. May your evening be calm and your rest be deep. And may your dreams carry you to places both strange and familiar, both challenging and comforting, as your brain continues its gentle work of making you who you are and who you might become.